So, I just thought of doing this series yesterday called Real Reddit Horror. It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's where I read creepy and horrific stories from Redditors that are actually true. I apologize in advance for stumbling over some words, as I'm not yet someone who's used to speaking for long periods of time. Bear with me, I promise I will get better at this. Through trial and error. Let's go. Horrifying experience at a bus stop, from throwaway 4245-111. Hi Reddit, this is my first time posting on this site in years. For context on this story, I am a 19-year-old girl residing in East London. 2 weeks ago, I was on a night out in my town, which I won't name. However, it is on the eastern outskirts of Greater London. It was a cold Friday night in early May when I began to walk home. By this time, I was already heavily drunk and had split off from my friends Sonia and Marcus, who were also blackout drunk. They took the Elizabeth Line to get home to their university digs in Harrow, so I was left all by myself. As I began to walk home to the bus stop, which wasn't far from the club, I noticed a tall, skinny man with his head in his hands sitting on the red plastic bench at the stop. I couldn't see much of his face as it was obscured by his long, dark brown, messy hair. I sat down on the bench, furthest away from him. Because it was around 1 a.m., the area was deserted, and honestly, this guy was giving me the creeps. He was wearing a dark brown leather bomber jacket, green cargos, and a Mayhem brand t-shirt. I sat and waited for the bus for around 5 minutes scrolling through TikTok, when suddenly, my focus was interrupted by the sound of sobbing coming from my left. I turned to see the man, head still in his hands, sobbing uncontrollably. I glanced at the man several times before making my decision. I scooted over to him, put my hand on his shoulder. Keep in mind, I was still in my drunk-induced, confident, sociable state. He looked up at me. Admittedly, I thought he was quite handsome, but that was until I was hit by his breath, which was a foul stench, a mixture of cigarettes, vomit, and tooth decay. He had thick, furrowed, dark eyebrows and a short yet unkempt stubble. He had tears rolling down his face. I asked him, "Hey, are you alright?" At this point, his facial expression changed. He let out a loud smoker's cough, covering his mouth with his elbow. Wiping his tears away with the same elbow, he looked me in the eyes and simply said, "I've hurt a lot of people." At this point, starting to sense the vibe was off, I asked, "What do you mean?" I felt the alcohol starting to lose its effects on me. I regretted interacting with this man at all. He told me plainly, "I've killed someone." At this moment, my heart sunk to the bottom of my chest. I thought, he must be joking, or lying. I timidly said, "Wait, what?" I was choking on my words. He went on to confess to me that he had killed a 17-year-old boy after arranging a gay encounter with him on Grindr. He told me that he stabbed the boy in the neck with a screwdriver before burning his body in the woods with lighter fluid. I stood there aghast at this sudden confession. When I saw the headlights of the night bus approaching in the distance, without hesitating I boarded, tapped my oyster and looked back. He did not follow me on. The bus door slammed shut. I ride the bus, only for around 4 stops before reaching my house. As I step out of the bus, I look to my left, only to see a dark figure with long dark hair running towards me down the street. I book it towards my house, shove the key into the lock before slamming the door shut and screaming for my mom. That night, I dreamt of the encounter in vivid detail, and the following night, and the night after that. However, as the nights went on, I would see the act of murder in his eyes as if it was a projection. The dream would be paused as he looked up to me, and the pause would be longer each night, seeing more vivid details reflected from his dark green eyes. The dream stopped around a week after the experience, but I was left deeply disturbed. What unsettled me the most was his voice, robotic and deep, sounding almost distorted as I dreamt of him more and more. My last dream was on the night of the 11th of May, a Saturday night. I was awoken to complete paralysis of my body. I heard as clear as day from across the room, "There wasn't just one victim," loudly in a female voice. I made my official police report today, May 18th, 2024, and was given a reference number. The police told me they would try to identify the man, as he was caught on CCTV walking past the club I was at several times, which ironically is opposite to the police station. Honestly, this must have been a really terrifying experience for this woman. The situation could have seriously ended with her losing her life, but Thankfully, it didn't. Scariest optical illusion I've experienced in my life. From Sir John 01. I'm 19 and I live in Greece. The drinking age here is 18. It's Christmas, 3 or 4 in the morning, and I'm returning home from a nice night out. It was pretty chill. Many friends showed up, but nothing crazy happened. Just laughing and sharing stories. No drama, no breakups, so as hookups. It was really pleasant. I live on what is called Grape Rose. It's usually an extremely busy road. Connecting to the city and behind it, there are rows upon rows of houses all next to each other. Those streets are pretty quiet, which was cool growing up because we could play sports on the street. Every 500 meters or so, there would be a connecting road connecting you to all the other roads. As you go up the Grape Rose, streetlights become scarce. At first you see the two streetlights meeting each other. As you go up there is a streetlight, then 300 meters of darkness, then another light. I live at the tippy top of the Grape Rose. This night happened to be extremely windy. So windy you could barely hear anything. As I'm coming close to a connecting road, I make sure to look left and right just in case I don't hear a car coming. On my right, about 300 to 500 meters away from me, I see a white square perfectly hovering 1 to 3 meters from the street. At first I thought it might be an albatross sitting on a garbage bin, but the bin beneath it wasn't visible. And why would a garbage bin be in the middle of the street? Then I thought it might be a white suitcase on top of a black car. But still, with all the windows of a car, there is still some reflection, even from a black car. I kept staring at this thing. I started noticing it was very slowly coming towards me. There was literally nothing beneath it. This white square was not making any living moves. It was just perfectly hovering. Then 2 sticks came from the side of it, making it shaped like a cross. Then the white square started coming towards me very fast. I started sprinting with everything I had. I did not look back. It was really windy. It was so noisy. I could only hear my breathing and my heartbeat, which made me focus on my run. The wind gave a nice breeze towards my face, and the adrenaline was making my sprint effortless. After 4.5 kilometers of running, my legs shut down. Like a switch, I fell on the street. I looked back at the white cross. It was almost at me. The white cross stops. I hear laughing. A neighbor was sitting on the steering wheel of a black bicycle, completely covering the driver of the bicycle, and the bicycle itself. He was wearing a glow-in-the-dark long-sleeve shirt, and the rest of his outfit was black. He was holding his arms while the other guy was bicycling behind him. The bicycle is surprisingly thin if you look at it facing you. The neighbor said while laughing, "You must have seen the look on your face. You were so scared. Did you think we were gypsies?" First of all, that's racist, but I didn't want to admit what I truly thought. I believed in alien/ghost hybrids for the next 30 minutes while running for my life. I can just imagine seeing this floating white cross chasing after this guy as he's running for dear life, confused as hell. Honestly, this sounds like some crazy horror game, man. Well, that was episode 1. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Craxo Spinner, and until the next story, I'm just in my room.